Good morning, my name is Mapson Bone. I'm the Managing Director of Beaumont Consulting. I'd like to welcome you to my video blog today. This is the first in a series that go alongside the blogs that are on my LinkedIn profile if you're interested in reading them. To start with, I want to talk a little bit about some of the lessons I've learnt over the year around how to be successful in the workplace. And we all define success in different ways and we all work well in different ways. But these are the things I've observed and the things that I try to do, and I'm far from get them right on a regular basis, but the things that I believe really make a big difference in the workplace. 17 lessons, I couldn't fit them into 10, but I hope to share them with you today. I hope you find them useful, and over the course of the next series of blogs we'll take each one of these lessons and expand on them further. So lesson number one is work hard. Hard work is underrated. Nobody gets to where they are without sheer hard work. There are plenty of talented people that do very well that would do even better with hard work, and there are plenty, I've seen lots over the years, of fairly average people do bloody brilliantly just by putting in the grunt work. So hard work, number one. Number two, smart work. Working smart is really important. So I'm a big believer that you need to work smart and hard, and both are really important. And working smart is about making sure you get the best return on investment for your time. It's about making sure that the things that you're doing are the things that are going to reach the outcomes that you want. A great question, someone said to me the other day, a great question to ask is what 2 or 3 things, if you only did those and dropped everything else, would make the biggest impact on your business. So really think about the work that you're doing, cut out the irrelevant stuff and focus on the things that make a difference. The third one is be a team player. It does not matter how good you are as an individual. It doesn't matter how talented you think you are, how much you think your success is just down to you. There is no single one of us that has got to where we are without the help of a team around us. If you think about the most solo of sports, you might think of racing car drivers, or you might think of tennis players. They don't get to where they are without a squad, without a coach, without the mechanics in the car racing. And even in business, you think about some of the most successful business people you know, they've all got a really solid team around them. Be a good team player. The fourth one is communicate well. Communication is, I think, the biggest cause of problems in the workplace. And when I say communication, I mean miscommunication. Most people I know don't come to work on a regular basis thinking to themselves, I know what, I will make my job difficult today, I will cause problems with other people, I will create issues and challenges with my colleagues and my clients and try and make their lives difficult. People don't deliberately mess up. But a lot of people miscommunicate and misunderstand each other. So learning to communicate well is really important. And that means learning to have the tough conversations. Being able to do that in a way that ensures that the other person knows exactly what's expected of them, knows exactly what their behaviour was that caused a particular outcome, and knows exactly what to do to help remedy that, and has been given the tools and the resources and the support to help remedy that. We spend too much time assuming that people know how we feel or what we want. So really being a good communicator is important. But it's also vital to be creatively kind. Kindness goes an awful long way and is underrated in business. Again, I don't believe that people come to work to deliberately do a bad job, and being kind can make all the difference to how somebody feels about the level of effort, the level of discretionary effort, the level of impact that they have in the workplace, and their willingness to move out of their comfort zone. So we were just talking about communication. If they're not natural at dealing with communication, being kind to someone is more inclined to lead them to the path of being able to have those tough conversations. Being kind is more likely to get somebody where you want them to be in the long run. Sure, it might take longer to get them there. Sometimes the short, sharp approach is quicker, but it will never get you long-lasting results. So be kind. But conversely, you do also need to know when to be tough. And this is not about being unfair, and it's absolutely not about being uncomposed or losing your temper, but it's about setting boundaries, making it very clear where those boundaries are, allowing as much fun as you can within the boundaries, but making sure that everybody is very well aware of what the consequences are for crossing those boundaries and ensure those consequences are followed through on. Super Nanny's got it right. The toddlers that throw the tantrums in the homes are not that different to some of our work colleagues sometimes, and so knowing how to set those boundaries and be tough when you have to is really important. The next one I think is really learning to question it. Question everything. Question why. What are we doing? Why are we doing it that way? Can you explain to me how we do that? Is there a better way? Really think about it. It's really an interesting technique to use when somebody has an opinion that's different to yours, or if you are struggling to communicate with somebody. If you question what's happening and why it's happening and how it's happening, you're much more likely to get to a real understanding of the situation. And you never know, you might find out that the other person's point of view or opinion is actually better than your own, or you might come up with a new idea from it. And if not, chances are you'll lead the other person to where they should get to of their own accord, rather than trying to force your opinion on them. So question it. Leading on from that, and if you become good at questioning, you'll learn this anyway, is never be content. Because the more you question, the more you realise there is so much more that can be done. There is so much more that can be improved. There is so much more that can be achieved, whether that be through financial success, whether that be through qualitative outcomes, whether that be through contribution back to the communities or industries. There is so much more that can be achieved. So never be content with what you're doing. It's really important to know what you can control and to let go of the things that you can't. Very tough, this one, but we all spend too much time worrying about things that we can't control and too much energy working on things over which we have no outcome. It's one of the reasons people often will introduce KPIs into the workplace, because it allows people to have a focus on an activity that is not outcome based, it's activity based, rather than tying themselves too much to the outcome. In our business, it's very common to have KPIs around activities such as interviews or meetings, rather than number of placements, because ultimately we can't control how that happens. But really important to work on the things you can control and have the confidence that doing that will eventually lead to the right outcomes. Be fair and be consistent. This is really important in a management position. It's really important in any position. It is natural for us all to have favourites. I think it's highly unlikely that there are people out there that genuinely don't have favourites. But what you can't do is have different rules for different people. Everyone knows it, everyone feels it, and it's one of the biggest killers of corporate culture in the workplace. So being fair and being consistent is about ensuring that you do have those boundaries, that you do have those expectations in place, and that whoever crosses them, no matter who they are, has the consequences for those boundaries. And what's interesting is when you have the fairness and the consistency, you'd be surprised by how often one of your least favourites goes out and impresses you. Ditch the bad apples. So if you've done all of the above and you still have somebody that is really just killing morale, killing culture, killing the workplace, and is just causing problems, get rid of them. Do everything right, address it first, communicate with them, show them the consequence, give them the opportunity to improve. But if you have followed all the right steps and they are still not improving, and they are not capable of improving, and particularly if it's an attitudinal thing, as legally and ethically quickly as you can, ditch your bad apples. Make it easy for people to succeed. I think often we're very quick to assume that our people aren't performing in the way we would like them to because of something that they are not doing or some effort that they are not putting in, when actually, if we're honest with ourselves, it might be our own systems, our own processes, it might be our culture, it might be all sorts of things that we as leaders are doing that is making it difficult for them to succeed. So make it easy for them to do well. It needs to be not too easy. Think pub trivia. If something is too easy, it's boring. If it's too hard, people give up. But enough challenge that your team are stimulated, motivated and interested, but not so hard that it's too difficult for them to succeed. Think about your customers. Your customers really are right. I don't care if our customers are idiots, and clearly none of our customers are idiots, but I don't care if my customer is a goose. What I care about is that my customer gets what they want in a way that helps them to achieve their objective in a way that is commercially viable for us. That is a win-win situation. I don't need to be right, I need to help them meet their objective, and I need to do that in a commercially viable way. That is all that matters. So really thinking about how to make your customer feel happy and how to make them feel like they have achieved what they need to achieve will end up helping your business. Which comes on to the next point nicely, which is helping people. Go out of your way to help people. Help your teammates, help your peers, help your subordinates, help your superiors, help your competitors, help the industry, help your clients. You'd be amazed at what comes back to you when you go out of your way to help people. But don't do it to get something back. Do it just because it's the right thing to do. There's so many studies that prove that it's one of the best ways to help yourself in terms of self-esteem and morale is helping other people, and you'll be surprised by what you get back when you do. But do go out of your way to help people. Look, listen and learn. You can learn something from every single person in your organisation, particularly those that you think you might not. You might think about maybe one of the more junior people in your organisation and assume that there's nothing you can learn from them. But you know what? I bet you they know all sorts of things about your team or your staff that you don't know, and I bet you they can tell you a thing or two about how they get treated, which will tell you a lot about what your staff are like when you're not there. Similarly, you might think you can't learn anything from, say, a terrible boss, but I think one of the best ways to learn is from an awful boss. I'm sure we've all had them, I know I have, and when you work with somebody, a truly awful individual, you can learn an awful lot about the kind of boss you don't want to be, and you'll be surprised by how often you might accidentally slip into making some of the mistakes that you were so against yourself. So look, listen and learn. Seek out challenge. Keep it interesting. Find new ways to challenge what you do and challenge how you do it. The world is constantly evolving. Things change at a very rapid pace these days, and if we don't change with them, then we will be obsolete in a number of years. It's really important that we constantly seek out the new challenge and see how we can rise up to it. And then finally, and this for me is really important, admit your mistakes. It's so important for your team to see that you're human. It's so important for them to understand that it's okay to make mistakes. I would much rather work with people who will make a mistake and come and tell me quickly and honestly, this is what's happened and this is why it's happened, and we all learn from it, rather than being too scared to make a mistake, never taking a risk, or worse, making mistakes and covering them up because they're too scared to say anything. I have made some cracking mistakes in my time. Ask any of my team about the time I put blue ink in the black ink printer and the thousands of dollars that cost us in terms of replacing the ink cartridges. The point is to admit your mistakes. We all do it. Which really brings us right back to the beginning, which is around working with people to help and understand and seeking out those people you can learn from. I'm really fortunate that I've worked with some of the best people in the industry. I've worked with some of the best people outside of the industry, and I've had a number of people that I've seen display these characteristics over the years, and I really hope that I've learnt along the way, and I hope that by sharing with you, that will help you learn along the way as well. None of us are perfect, but in the practicing is what makes it fun. So tune in next time, where we'll take the first one of those, work hard, and explore it in more detail, but in the meantime, have fun practicing some of those lessons. Thanks very much.